The lights dimmed. The crowd roared. Flashbulbs exploded across the arena as Anthony Joshua made his walk, calm, stoic, wrapped in pure confidence. Across from him, Jake Paul strutted forward, chest out, smile flashing, trying to convince the world that this was his moment. But deep down, everyone watching could feel it. Something massive was about to happen. This wasn't just a fight. It was a collision between legacy and ambition, power and bravado. Jake Paul, the self-made showman who turned from YouTuber to prizefighter, was daring to stand in front of one of boxing's most dangerous heavyweights, Anthony Joshua. A man forged in championship wars, with thunder in his fists and composure that only experience can bring. The arena was split, half expecting a miracle, half waiting for destruction. No one truly knew how it would unfold. As the fight began, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Jake tried to move with confidence, circling, bouncing, throwing quick jabs, trying to test the distance. But Joshua didn't move like a man interested in testing. He moved like a hunter. His eyes locked on Jake's every motion, studying, analyzing, waiting. One jab from Joshua cracked through Jake's guard, and the sound echoed through the crowd. It wasn't just a punch. It was a message. A reminder that the man standing across from him wasn't another influencer chasing views. This was the real deal. Jake smiled, trying to brush it off, but his body told another story. You could see it in the way he reset his stance, how his shoulders stiffened. That jab hurt, and Joshua knew it. He didn't rush. He didn't show emotion. He just kept stalking forward, every step precise, every punch deliberate. Jake tried combinations, wild hooks, looping rights, but Joshua slipped, blocked, and answered back with sharp, controlled firepower. The difference in experience was undeniable. Every punch Jake threw was born from energy. Every punch Joshua landed was born from calculation. The crowd started to sense it, the inevitable. Each time Joshua connected, Jake's face showed the impact. The ring began to feel smaller and smaller. Joshua's footwork trapped Jake in corners, cutting off escape routes, forcing him to trade. Jake tried to clinch, tried to hold, tried to buy time. But Joshua's strength was overwhelming. He pushed him off easily, staring straight into Jake's eyes as if to say, "You wanted this." Then it happened. Joshua feinted a left, Jake bit on it, and boom! A thunderous right hand crashed straight down the middle. Jake's head snapped back, his balance disappeared, and he stumbled toward the ropes. The crowd gasped. Phones shot up into the air, flashes firing like lightning. Joshua followed, calm but lethal. A left hook to the body, an uppercut to the chin, and Jake's legs started to go. The referee hovered close, but Joshua wasn't done. He unleashed a straight right that echoed like a gunshot. Jake's body folded, dropping to the canvas in slow motion. For a second, everything froze. The crowd, the cameras, even the commentary went silent. Then chaos erupted. People jumped out of their seats, screaming, shouting, unable to believe what they'd just witnessed. Jake Paul, the man who had talked his way into the biggest fights in the world, was lying motionless on the canvas, a victim of pure heavyweight power. Anthony Joshua didn't celebrate wildly. He didn't scream or flex. He just stood over Jake for a moment, expression calm, breathing steady, a king reclaiming his throne. When the referee waved it off, Joshua turned away, raising his gloves to the crowd. Every flashbulb in the arena went off. The noise was deafening. In that moment, you could feel the world remembering who Anthony Joshua truly was. A warrior, a champion, a reminder of what real boxing looks like when the gloves do the talking. Jake eventually sat up, dazed but conscious. The crowd applauded him for his courage, but the lesson was brutal. There are levels in this sport, and Joshua just gave him a masterclass in the harshest way possible. As Joshua went to his corner, he looked back at Jake and nodded, a sign of respect, maybe even empathy. He knew the courage it took to step in there, but courage alone doesn't stop right hands from a world champion. In the post-fight interview, Joshua spoke with that calm, gentlemanly tone that's become his trademark. He said, "He's got heart. You can't deny that. But this is boxing. It's not a game. It's not a show. When you step in here, you face reality." That one line summed up the entire night. reality. Jake Paul had built a dream career, millions of followers, viral knockouts, a reputation for shocking the world. But against Joshua, the lights were brighter, the punches heavier, and the reality unavoidable. There are no shortcuts when you face a man who's been to war inside that ring. Social media exploded. Clips of the knockout went viral within minutes. Slow-motion replays, reaction videos, memes flooding the internet. Everyone had something to say. Some mocked Jake, some praised his bravery. But everyone agreed on one thing: Anthony Joshua was back. The knockout wasn't just a victory. It was a resurrection. After years of critics questioning his hunger, his power, his mindset, Joshua had just answered every question with a single punch. Meanwhile, Jake Paul released a short message on social media later that night. No arrogance, no jokes, just honesty. He said, "I gave it everything. But tonight I felt the difference. Respect to AJ, he's the real deal." It was a humbling moment, the kind that separates the entertainers from the true fighters. And for all his flaws, Jake earned a bit of respect for showing up and facing one of the most dangerous men in boxing. But the highlight of the night wasn't Jake's courage. It was Joshua's composure. Every move, every punch, every step was measured perfection. It was the kind of performance that reminded fans why Joshua became a two-time world champion in the first place. He didn't just beat Jake Paul, he demolished him with elegance, control, and devastating precision. Backstage, cameras followed Joshua as he walked down the tunnel, gloves still on, sweat dripping. The crowd chanted his name. "AJ! AJ! AJ!" He didn't shout back or pose for cameras. He just nodded, expression thoughtful. Because for Joshua, this wasn't just about knocking out Jake Paul, it was about reclaiming his identity. He had faced the highs of championship glory and the lows of defeat. He had heard the critics call him finished, robotic, overrated. But tonight he reminded the world that greatness doesn't disappear. It waits. And when it returns, it roars. Experts later analyzed the fight, calling it a clinic in controlled aggression. Joshua's timing, his patience, his power, everything was sharp. He looked like a man reborn. One analyst said it best. That wasn't just a fight. That was a statement. Anthony Joshua just reminded everyone why the heavyweight division still belongs to him. And he wasn't wrong. The aura, the presence, the dominance, it was all back. As for Jake Paul, his journey would continue. Maybe he'd fight again. Maybe he'd step back. But after this night, no one would doubt the courage it took to even try. Still, the message was clear. You can't skip levels in boxing. Experience is earned through pain, not popularity. And that night, Jake Paul learned that lesson the hardest way possible through the right hand of Anthony Joshua. The knockout replay became iconic. The sweat exploding from Jake's head as the punch connected. The shock in the faces of the front row crowd. The silence before the eruption of noise. Moments like that don't just end fights. They define eras. For Joshua, it was more than just a win. It was proof that he still belongs among the elite. It was a reminder to every heavyweight in the world. When he's focused, when he's locked in, Anthony Joshua is a nightmare for anyone. As the night ended and the lights dimmed, Joshua stood in the ring one last time, looking around at the cheering crowd. No words needed, just presence. A man who had once carried the weight of the division on his shoulders now stood free of doubt. The commentators summed it up perfectly. You can question his past, but you can't question this. When Joshua decides to finish it, it's over. And with that, the image was set. Jake Paul lying on the canvas. Joshua towering above, the crowd screaming, and the world realizing once again, Anthony Joshua isn't done. He's dangerous. He's dominant. He's back. Closing voiceover section. And that's how it ended. Anthony Joshua, the powerhouse of British boxing, delivering a brutal 22-25 knockout that left the world speechless. No controversy, no debate. Just pure, undeniable power. For Jake Paul, it was a reality check. For Joshua, it was a rebirth. The headlines the next morning said it all. Anthony Joshua destroys Jake Paul. The king reclaims his throne. Because in the world of boxing, talk fades fast. But when the gloves land, the truth always speaks loudest. This was more than a fight. It was a reminder, a statement, a thunderclap across the sport. Anthony Joshua, back on top with one punch that shook the world.